different perspectives are studied in qualitative research, and that's why the use of multiple methods is absolutely needed. The reasoning is kind of more complex than X independent variable has an effect on Y dependent variable, or X and Y are correlated. So the relationship is not all that direct and simple, but the relationship is quite complex. The meaning as perceived by the participant is absolutely crucial in context of qualitative approach. And even if suppose two persons have perceived same meaning, the reason for that kind of perception would differ. So, that again brings in the kind of complexity. The research design is not that at the beginning all the decisions are, the blueprint and then just follow it. Of course, there is proposal. Of course, there is some plan in the beginning, but there is a scope for changing the certain aspects within the plan later. For example, in grounded theory, the sample size, for example, it is suppose in the beginning it is said that suppose there are 50 people participating, so there is a concept called as saturation. So that level of saturation, that means I'm getting the same responses when I reading same response, sorry, I mean I'm reading one person's maybe the transcript of interview, and I'm coming up, I'm finding this, certain points there or certain codes are being identified. And now when I'm seeing the next one, maybe some are same, some are different. Likewise, when I continue with this, it may be possible at one point of time that even if I'm reading the next and the next and the next, I'm coming up with the same points. There is no new point is coming up now. So that is called as saturation. Now, this is one cannot predict that at what number I will get this, I will reach this point of saturation. So from that perspective, it's written as the emergent design. So whatever, how much will be the sample, my sample will be, that will be emerge when I'm actually analyzing the data. Sorry.
पहिला ऍडमिट केला काकू एक सलाईन घेऊन टाका फार गरज आहे
Okay, emergent, reflexively, because the reflections on the part of the researcher come into picture, and it's a completely a holistic account that is together. It's not one factor or one small thing, being studied or in isolation. Okay, the typical focus of the questions in qualitative research. In quantitative, they are basically what is it, what are the components, who did it, how many students, how many people, when was it done, where was it done. Okay, these kind of questions. Whereas in qualitative, it would be, how do you study? How do you think? How do you feel when somebody insults you? Or how do you feel when you meet your mother after a long stay in the hostel for 6 months? Okay, and the second category would be why? Why do you feel? Why do you get so annoyed when you think of maths? Why is something very close to your heart? So the reasons are, explored more in the qualitative. So the essence of when the, in qualitative approach are about, it talks about or studies the maybe how the two people are interacting. How is the guide and the student are interacting? How is the student teacher are interacting? How is the children at home and the parents, how is their interaction? How are two professionals interacting? Emotions, perceptions, processes, the deliberations, So all of that will, come into picture when it comes to qualitative. So when do we use qualitative research? So because we are gradually we are marching into getting into the proposal part. So when the understanding of the complex details, micro details are it's something that the researcher is interested in, or unless those micro details are studied, the understanding of the research issue is incomplete. So then the researcher would, dive into something called qualitative research. It also, when you want to empower, you have heard of a few maybe incidental some stories. Okay, for example, how maybe a person who are not so much, I would say, educationally or financially very forward in a power situation, but how they have been, facing the struggle of their life. So maybe something like that could be. Another question or another example could be, I'm very fond of quilting. So the examples come from that domain. That, okay, how does a quilter, especially the indigenous women, how do they think about a design within quilting? How do they choose the colors? How do they decide the sequence or the neighboring colors? So such kind of especially the smaller stories which the maybe a larger audience needs to know about. Those could be brought in the form of stories, and then they feel empowered. I know that there is one Siddhi community in north part of Karnataka. So they prepare a specific variety of quilts which are known as the Siddhi quilts or Kovandi quilts. So the telling the story. Now these women are Indo-African women. So how do they do they think about while they're working on the quilts? Those could be the focus. The mechanism, or which is where the multiple theories or models are coming into picture. It's not one theory. Even when we are talking about the, say, teaching learning in the classroom situation, it's not necessary that if we praise constructivism a lot, it's pure constructivism is always useful, or a pure behaviorism is always useful. But maybe it is a combination of both. So how the decision is taken by the teacher while doing, and of course, qualitative research always give an opportunity to the researcher to develop one's own theory. Okay, so these are all the contexts in which qualitative research could be useful. Here are some abilities for qualitative researcher. So in fact, is it interesting to check whether I have these abilities? So it needs a lot of time and effort. Sorry. Is a lot of rigor is required. For example, if it is reading an interview, a transcript. So firstly, preparing that, conducting the interview, preparing the transcript, and reading it multiple times. So because every time it is conveying some new meaning, bringing in some new aspects of whatever the person is trying to express. So all that would come into picture. So it is, it is, all in all, quite a labor-intensive task. It is a kind of walking on an untrodden path. unlike quantitative, where I know that I have two sets of scores, pre and post experiment, and compare and done with it. It's not like that. Okay, let us now look at some of the unique features of the research proposal of qualitative studies. So while I was thinking about how this particular section of the this session could be addressed, so when we write a research proposal, there are certain pointers that are used. So we will be looking at how the pointers differ, in some time. But before that, if I say that I want to take up a particular qualitative research method, then how do I approach it? How do I make that choice? Because one has experienced that, especially when the master's level students, when they want to take up qualitative research or want to take up mixed method research, but the decision about the qualitative part of it, it's quite a struggle for them to decide that which method is the best suitable one. Of course, I'm not going to talk about any of these methods in this session because that is not the focus of our today's session right now. But here it is just a kind of a summary, I would say, that if one wants to portray individual struggle, individual stories, how one has handled one's problems or life, or so all that will be addressed through narrative study. So as we know, narration, storytelling is something which that would come into picture in narrative study. When it is a different kind of a culture and then that culture is being studied, then it is ethnography would come into picture. Here I would specifically like to comment, I'm taking a minute more to talk about ethnography here. Many of the times the examples that are given are maybe culturally, maybe say tribal people, or some things, those who are staying in a very kind of isolation, or so culture studying is mainly looked at from social culture perspective, but it is not so. A few years ago, I came across a very interesting ethnographic study where the researcher was studying the culture of the culture within the ladies compartment of Mumbai locals. Now, Mumbai locals is not something new or not something unknown, not something less experienced. Women, the ladies compartment is within that is again also, we cannot categorize as something not known or new. But this researcher and the entire research paper that was written was beautifully, because the researcher took into consideration that, okay, how what are their norms, said norms, unsaid norms, what is the kind of language they use, what do they do by sitting in the compartment, it's a quite a long journey many a times. So it's beautifully articulated research as well as the paper. So my point is that it need not be always something which is not seen. It could be as simple as, like we keep talking about cooperative learning strategies a lot in, again, teaching learning scenario, but we keep talking about a lot about that. But then how is that culture within the class? How are the students interacting with each other? Now it is supposed to be that everybody is given an equal status or equal importance. So does it really happen like that, or does it that, okay, a particular student who is more dominating says, no, this is true and this is only the way to present or whatever? So does it go that way? or even the teacher, how does she handle, or she or he handle the this cooperative learning situation? Or in the name of cooperation, it is, yes, cooperative learning strategy, but I'm actually going and dictating them as a teacher. So that will be something like that, could be interesting to study. Phenomenology, when a phenomena is under focus and that is to be studied. I think case study, many of you must have heard. So a case, that is maybe a person, a project, or an institution, which is unique in both ways. It could be positively unique or negatively unique, is studied as a case. Grounded theory, unfortunately, it is not many people know about it, or rather get scared of it. But if you look at the the research methods that are used in qualitative, grounded theory is one of the most popular qualitative research method, where it is, as I gave the example of like, interactivity means so and so. There are theories of interactivity. So there are established theories, but I want to get my own experience, my own version, or my own take, that how are the participants exactly looking at interactivity, how are they experiencing, how are they practicing interactivity, and then come up with one's own theory. So we will be seeing a few examples of this as well, because quite a few researches that, I mean, my own research, as well as quite a few researches that are guided by me, have used grounded theory. So you will get to see a few examples of this also. Now, the earlier slide, we saw that from research perspective, what could be the, the criteria for making a choice for a research method. Now, coming to the some more questions when it comes to the, making a choice of a qualitative research method. So first is the, audience. So what are they have used the word gatekeepers. We can say that experts, maybe what is accepted as a good in your domain of study or your field of study, that this is the very frequently used method. But of course, though this is mentioned, I would not 100% agree with this, because I would give the example of my own research, my PhD research, which needed qualitative inquiry, but in the research review, it was found that that it wasn't used to that extent, whereas uh, the aspect of study demanded that I go to the micro level. Okay, so this may not be applicable to 100% every time. Then the background question. So do I have the training into it? So what do you mean by training here is not necessarily that I go and attend a workshop or a course in, say, for case study, or a particular method. If you get that kind of an opportunity, yes, please go ahead. There are at times some summer schools are conducted, or on especially Coursera, or many MOOCs are there where it is dedicated to the niche areas and a small a piece of content. So yes, definitely yes, but training would also mean that I read the other researches which are conducted using this particular method. It also means I read theoretical good books in researches. When I say good, it's quote unquote good, because I mean, it is not with a pride I'm saying so, but unfortunately, I can give you an example that unfortunately, when it comes to the theory books on research methodology, qualitative research, there are no, I mean, not many, or rather almost na ke barabar good books in Marathi. So you have to take efforts to read original English resources. So anyway, so that my point is that kind of training. So basically, diving into that research method and understanding the research method thoroughly is something that would be expected in this particular question when under the meaning of the term training is concerned. Then the scholarly literature, again, I'm saying that earlier researches that are being conducted. So those, of course, would come into picture. But by picking up a particular qualitative method, what kind of contribution would I add to this, the literature in my subject or my field? So that is the next question that is to be asked. The last question or last set of questions is about the it is about nature of the person, or what kind of a researcher or an academician or a student, a thinker I am. So then there are options, like if I like to work more with, yes, within the framework of qualitative, I want to I'm more structured kind of an approach I would like to go ahead with. So maybe narrative, because it's a story. Ethnographic again is like, okay, how are they behaving, what are their norms, if there are any physical objects coming into picture, then one talks about that. So in a way, it is kind of structure is there. If it is more well-defined approach, again, example is grounded theory. I am not talking much about this right now, because when you will see the examples, we will touch upon this part once again, that why it is well-defined approach. Then if it is more flexibility, because case study, 360-degree approach, phenomenology, so how they have faced the phenomena, how they have come out of their whatever experiences were there. So these kind of the personal approach. So you have to look at not only outside, but you have to look within as a researcher. So that is something will take you ahead. Now, what kind of qualitative data may emerge in a qualitative research? So here are examples, but in no way I am saying that this is the the exhaustive list. Okay, there are different forms of qualitative data that would keep coming as we are progressing. We are using more and more of technology, and there are so many possibilities are there. For example, in this particular list, the VR is not written, like virtual reality is not written. So again, whatever the way it will show me as virtual Madhvi Dharankar maybe. So that is some different kind of data than the one that is enlisted on the screen. But yes, it is, if you go to that specificity, of course, you would add or consider that kind of data. But here you can see that there are right from text to video interactions, everything would, come into picture. And many a times it is the work done by the participants, that is the artifacts, which are the proofs of whatever they are doing, or which are the indicators of maybe their liking, their ability, their personality, everything. So that would also become a qualitative data. Of course, not every research will have all of these, but it will depend on the context of the research. In between, I'm just keeping track of time so that I don't exceed time. So here, once again, the various the sources of qualitative data. Here, one more aspect is mentioned, that the record keeping, which is maybe mainly by the researcher. So researchers' diary, field notes are absolutely very, very crucial here. Now, we are going to see a few examples of qualitative researches conducted, and then we will come to the specific part of research proposal once again, that where I felt that these pointers could be helpful. Okay, now you will think that, okay, we are almost approaching 11 and we are still on slide number 15 out of 37. So that is mainly because of these loads and loads of examples that are added. Up till now, we were discussing everything from every slide. Okay, every pointer was being discussed. Now for at least 15-20 slides now, we will just kind of run through so that you get some visual or some more idea about the qualitative researches that are being conducted, or have been conducted. So that it should not be that, okay, this is only theory, and unless examples are seen, one doesn't feel confident. At least I, as a learner, I don't feel confident. Okay, so let us see a few examples. Very happy to say that some of these examples are right from of the researches conducted by the students of YCMOU School of Education. So here is Mr. Ramesh Chowdhury, and there was a Tejaswini project. He was a ZP teacher that time. So there was a Tejaswini project which was focused towards the girl child, and his school had got the award for best Tejaswini project for subsequent years, not one, not twice, and even he had been awarded as the best coordinator for that. So that's why he felt that why is it that in some schools it works so great that the school keeps getting awards year after year, and whereas in some other schools it is not so success. And that's why he took up a case study of his own school. Okay, so I'm directly jumping to the findings now. So some of the things are in Devanagari and Marathi especially. So just those amongst you who do not understand Marathi at all, or who cannot read Devanagari, just bear with it. So the essence of this slide is he has come up with what are the guiding principles of the school used by the schools who have been awarded for this particular award. This is the main finding, or the visual thing. And as you can see that he has shown the difference using the varying thickness of the arrows, and he has given a key at the bottom in that rectangle, that what did the project expect, and then he has come up with 3 different variations of the situations where it is completely fulfilled. So whatever the documents expected, the school completely fulfilled that. The next one was, yes, fulfilled, but not to such a great extent. And the thinnest arrow is the very to a little extent. And you can see that he has shown that whenever this kind of project comes into existence, the government or that the governing body, they come up with guidelines, and then they are transferred to the authorities, then the school, and then Labharthi, actually the beneficiaries. So in both the schools, till the authorities, that is, say, the school principal, till that level, there was no difference. Okay, it is same. But when it came to the next, that, okay, this principal saying something and school teachers actually implementing it, that time you can see that the thickness of the arrow varies. And when it comes to the actual beneficiaries, it is even going further down in the school number 2. So that was his study. The second one, once again, is by the student of School of Education, MEd student. So here he was experiencing or observing that he was once again ZP teacher, and some of his women colleagues, they were performing their responsibilities as professionals, but also he was wondering that, okay, they are doing it, but and on the home front also they would be facing problems. So how are they addressing these problems? So that was a study, that was his study, not a case study. We'll see his study then. So this is one of the diagrams that came into, as a result of his data, where it says that, that teacher, primary teacher, um, she earns money, she earns livelihood, but in that process, it's not that the entire money remains at her with her and that's the end of the story, but she creates the opportunity for generating livelihood for 3 more women. So, for example, the housemaid, the second is the person who is looking after the children, or some of them had this kind of a women at home, and some had the daycare center. So those also get an opportunity to earn the livelihood. So that is depicted. But anyway, his main findings, now these findings are in English because we wrote a paper on his research for a national conference. So everything was translated into English that time. So I was talking about the grounded theory. Excuse me. I was talking about the grounded theory. So grounded theory is something which the researcher is expected to come up with the theory. Now this theory, how to put forth theory, not necessarily a description, but now here you can see a diagram, and let us understand this diagram because we are going to see this diagram multiple times in the subsequent examples now. So here it is like there is some central phenomena, certain things are happening. So what is the action by the, the participants that are studying, that you are studying? And then what are the consequences? So the main blocks in this diagram are central phenomena leading to action strategies, leading to consequences. But the situation or the relationship is not as straight or as simple as this. But there is some causal condition which leads to central phenomena. And at the same time, while deciding upon what action I take, there is some context which may be differing from person to person. And again, there are some intervening conditions which may be again differing from person to person. So, okay, so that is why you are seeing that arrow. So this is the way in which his theory he has put forth. He has tried to explain his understanding of the entire situation, that how these women are handling both the fronts, okay, in this form of a diagram. So this is a very typical diagram in all grounded theory researches, that's findings, especially when Strauss and Corbin, or Corbin and Strauss way of looking at the findings is used. There is another way of looking at the findings too, but as I said, that is not our today's topic of discussion. So I'm just leaving it for a while. Now, this was my own PhD research. It was mixed method research, but we are not going to talk about the mixedness of that research right now. I'm straightway jumping to once again, the findings. So in this case, I was trying to compare the behavioristic approach and constructivist approach. So this is the diagram of the constructivist approach. And as I said, the title was comparative study. So in this particular diagram, you would see that there is something written in black and something written in red. The reason is the black is something which was found common in both the approaches, cognitivistic and constructivistic, behavioristic and constructivistic. Whereas the red one in this particular case, now you can see the title CTA, that is the constructivistic techno-andragogical approach. So those which were peculiar or which were specific about constructivist approach in context of my research, that is shown in red. Now this is a comparison, as I said. So 2 of these diagrams are there in the report, but right now I put only one. But the fun part of it, you will see a little later. I will just speak about this once again when we reach that particular point. Now, this is a comparative study of the social presence on blogs and discussion forum. Now, this is a research conducted by, we run a program called MA or MSc in e-learning. So the topics of the researches by our student are all related with instructional designing and educational technology. So she has tried to study that how the social presence differs on blogs and in discussion forum. You can see the research question. This was once again mixed method study, but right now only the qualitative part of it has been focused here. Okay, so here she has looked at, there are different kinds of responses. She has considered, categories: affective, cohesive, and interactive responses, and what it means has been shown in the diagrammatic manner. The next diagram is, I find that even more interesting. So here it is. There are two platforms that were studied. One is WordPress, which is blog, and the discussion forum, the second one. And they are compared in context of affective, cohesive, and interactive responses. Is there any problem? Sir, could you please mute all the participants?
आपल्याला ते बघ कोणत्या दिवशी कोण जागे कोण काय करायला लावून देतो.
Sir, could you please mute all the participants?
कोणीतरी येईल ते केलं कनेक्ट ते झालं का कनेक्ट अरे तो कोणता बी काही बी होत आहे. कोणा वार कोणता नाही कोणा वार कोणता नाही का बरोबर आहे का नाही. तो त्या दिन फॉर्म माहीत एका जण गुरुवार राहील स्पेशल. त्याचं काय झालं त्याचं काय झालं.
Could the participants please be muted, because otherwise there is no point in I talking if they are also going to talk.
Sorry ma'am, sorry, एक second. ठीक है, continue. Sorry.
Okay, so here you can see that how visually she has put this comparison, where there is difference and as well as there is some similarity. So this was the content analysis that she had used. This was a pure qualitative research that was conducted, where the participants, their online asynchronous discursive discussion forums. So how are they participating is that was being studied. I please request that please mute the participants. Thank you. So this is very interesting. Now, as this was again grounded theory used for compiling the studying and putting forth the findings. But in this particular case, I hope you all have heard about concept mapping. How many of you have used concept map? Have you used concept map? Have you heard of concept map anytime? Could you please use chat for your responses? Nobody is responding anything in the chat. Have you heard of concept map? Yes, yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So in concept map, there are different the pointers that are connected using the prepositions. So there are connectors. So this is the brilliance of this girl. Strauss and Corbin never gave the connectors or never gave the wording to those arrows. Okay, it was just arrow and that's the end of the story. But this particular girl, she has added all the descriptions that how they are connected. And in my opinion, that brings into, even more clarity, kind of walks a step ahead beyond what Strauss and Corbin has put forth. So this is something very, and this is indeed a pride for me because this is done by a first timer researcher of master's level. So yeah, she is a gold medalist of her batch. So you can imagine that level of brilliance. But this kind of thing has been, kind of put forth. We move ahead. Yes, this is a doctoral study of my PhD student. Coincidentally, her research method and my research, my PhD research exactly was same way of mixed method, same way of experimental design, same way of qualitative. But just here are the research questions that she addressed. We are not discussing, so that's why I'm just kind of giving you less time to actually read everything. Yes. So here you can see that this is the result of her grounded theory that she came up with in a result of her research. So here you can see in her case also there were comparison of two ways of group making. So one way was I decide who my partner or who should be my group, and another way was the teacher decide based on some teacher decided criteria. So she was comparing their peer interaction. So here you can see in the single diagram, she has used the three colors. So the black color is for denoting what was common in both. Red was for one particular way of making groups, and green is for the another way. So here I again love this slide. Why? Because it is an indicator of researcher growing beyond PhD. So you have seen my diagram, it was not having three colors. But by the time I reach this stage, it was like, okay, yes, why am I creating two? Because when we say comparison, it should be one view, right? No point in having two diagrams on two different pages. So this is what was thinking that came up with, but once again, an example of grounded theory. Now, this is the research that is taken up by master's level student right now. So just last week, we had their proposal presentation. So here she is trying to study the framing cognitive strategy and the effect of that on learner engagement and academic achievement. So here academic achievement will be studied quantitatively, again a mixed method, but the learner engagement will be studied qualitatively. And she is going to study this using exploratory case study. Now, if I take you back means only mentally I'm taking you back for one of the features of qualitative research is that we said that it is in the natural setting. So the researcher does not do anything. Whatever is already there is studied, right? So it is true for all research, qualitative researches, except exploratory case study. So exploratory case study is the only type of not only case study, but only type of all qualitative researches or qualitative research methods where it gives an opportunity for the researcher to do something and still study it qualitatively. So in this case, there is going to be intervention because effectiveness of framing cognitive strategy. So there is going to be intervention, and the researcher will study it qualitatively as well. And that's why the name exploratory study. Okay, so that's all about the examples. We'll come back to our research proposal now. So when I was thinking that, okay, how do I tell that, how does the research proposal differ in context of qualitative research as compared to quantitative? So there were certain pointers. So the overall pointers within the research proposal, they don't change because it is qualitative. But at certain pointers, there are variations, or maybe the terms are used differently, or some different information is expected. So here on this slide, I have tried to put all that together, that how it differs in case of qualitative as compared to quantitative. So in qualitative, we write something called as construct and not variable. So for example, writing operational definitions is a part of any research proposal. So we say that in operational definition, we write how something is measured, or another option is observed. So in case of construct, we don't write how it is measured, but we write how it will be observed, how it will be studied. So various aspects would come into picture. For example, now we saw an example of cake. So maybe the flavor, the texture, that is something would be a construct in that particular case. Research questions, it should have been in a place of objectives. Okay, sorry, it is variable has been written twice. So in place of research objectives, the research questions are mentioned. The term participants is used and not sample. Okay, participants, because whatever I as a researcher am going to collect the data, or going to develop my understanding of that research situation or research problem, all of them are going to be a part of it. I'm going to understand it by involving their understanding, their perception, their stories, their meanings, their reasons, rationales, their processes. So all of that comes, and that is why the term is participants and not sample. The term again is sources of data as against the tools for data collection that is used in quantitative. So as we said, sources of data, so right from the researcher oneself, the research diary, notings, maybe some policy documents that are existing, maybe students' reflection diaries, their blogs, anything could can come into picture. So that is why a broader term, more comprehensive term of sources of data is used in while writing the research proposal for qualitative research. The nature of data is mentioned, as we have seen earlier. The data could be textual, could be photographs, could be audio, video, could be artifacts. So that is the nature of data. So whether it is textual or whether it is visual, something that language one has to write as against nominal ordinal interval ratio that we typically write in the quantitative research methods. Data triangulation is absolutely must in qualitative research, because it could be a question for validity. So how am I going to triangulate my data? So maybe, for example, I'm going to collect the data through questionnaire, as well as through interview, as well as through observation, so that one can check. So one needs to talk about it, one needs to plan about it, and mention about it, about that in the proposal. How will the ethical considerations be taken into consideration? Of course, ethical considerations do come into picture even in case of quantitative researches, but all the more they are in the context when it comes to qualitative research. And because there are, suppose, for example, the sample size could be as small as 1, or could be maybe 4 or 5. So we don't report the data. We don't report them, quote the person saying that, okay, XYZ person said so. But we kind of prepare the codes that, okay, in my case, it was a B.Ed college. So there was X and Y group. So it was X1, Y1, like that, the namings were given to them. How are the validation to the findings will be done? So that again, the researcher needs to be aware of this and needs to write mention about that, how this is how the data will be validated, the findings will be validated. And then the tentative visual form or plan. Now, the word tentative is important because when one starts with the research, as we say, saw that it is qualitative research is something immersive. Yeah, I'm just closing in a couple of minutes, okay? Because if I'm seeing it's 11:19 now. But it will be still, it should not be that, okay, I will think about it when I get the data. No. So you need to start thinking right at the proposal level, but at the same time, you have the freedom of keeping it tentative. Okay, and so that because when you will collect the data, when you will start analyzing it, documenting it, you will develop a better and better understanding, deeper understanding, and then it will be that something which is amorphous visual form initially will gradually keep getting very, very crystalline. Okay, now I'm not going to talk about this, but some of us are research guides and some of us are researchers. So here I'm just leaving you with this thought that the guide needs to ask oneself that, do I have all this? So that I can address myself that as a good guide for qualitative research. If I'm not ready to give that kind of a freedom to my research scholar, better I don't go for that. I was extremely fortunate to get that freedom from my guide always while I was doing PhD. And again, as a researcher, do I have all these abilities within me? Okay, so this is what I have, when suppose I have to talk that, okay, what does qualitative research mean to you? So it means this to me, okay? So up till now, the wording was what theory talks about, but the earlier slide and this slide it's my version of how I look at qualitative research as. So it's like when you have a favorite dish, you don't just eat up everything. Or when you have medicine, very bitter medicine, you just gallop it and just drink water on that and want to even forget even the thought of you had that bitter medicine. But favorite dish is something which you relish while eating, you want to relish it, you keep talking about it even later. So it's absolutely it's spiritual experience in my opinion. And my leaving you with this last question, that are we ready for such demanding yet enriching journey in the name of qualitative research? Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, this entire slide format was used, ready-made from brainybetty.com, and that's why this is also the time to give credit to them because it is not the format that I had created. Thank you very much. Shall I stop
But-
sharing the screen, or do you want me to be in the slide? If anybody wants to ask a question regarding something, a particular slide, then from that angle I'm asking.
स्लाइड शो थांबवला तरी चालेल मॅडम, क्वेश्चन विचारतात आता सगळे.
ठीक है, ठीक, चालेल.
धन्यवाद मैडम. किसी को कोई प्रश्न हो गए तो वो पूछ सकते हैं. अपने पास 10 मिनट है, 10 मिनट में किसी को प्रश्न हो गए तो पूछ सकते हैं.
Yeah, I'm just addressing one part here. Okay, somebody has written कि कृपया मराठी हिंदी भाषा का भी प्रयोग किया जाए तो अच्छा रहेगा. So मैंने शुरू में ही बोला था कि मेरा इवन मैं नॉर्मल भी बात करूं आपसे, रिसर्च तो छोड़ ही दो, ऐसे ही बात करूं मैं, तो मेरा बम्बईया हिंदी है, बम्बईया हिंदी विथ मैं बोलूंगी मिंदी है, क्योंकि मराठाइज्ड हिंदी है वो. इट्स सम वेरी वियर्ड कॉम्बिनेशन, लाइक आई टेल रिक्शा फेलो के राइट को वळवो वगैरह है ना. सो दैट लेवल ऑफ हिंदी आई हैव. So speaking of research methodology in Hindi, it's out of question for me. I have never done it, not studied, never taught also in Hindi. Yes, Marathi मधून रिसर्च मेथडॉलॉजी मी शिकवायचे जोपर्यंत मी YCMOU मध्ये होते 2015 सालापर्यंत. त्याच्यानंतर कदाचित एखाद वर्षापर्यंत वगैरे मला 1-1.5-2 वर्षापर्यंत कदाचित मराठी टर्म्स मला म्हणजे एकदम सोप्या होत्या, इझिली यायचं. आता मात्र सॅम्पलला मराठीत ज्ञादर्श म्हणतात, हे म्हणजे मला अरे काय म्हणतात काही वेळेला इव्हन YCMOU पुस्तकं काढून बसावे लागतात की काय टर्म आहे ऍक्च्युअल म्हणजे करेक्ट टर्म काय आहे. दॅट इज फर्स्ट रिझन फॉर नॉट युझिंग मराठी. सेकंड रिझन इज ऍज आय सेड एस्पेशली म्हणजे क्वांटिटेटिव्ह रिसर्चच्या बाबतीत तरी मराठीतलं लिटरेचर बऱ्यापैकी आहे पुढे गेलेलं. बट वेन इट कम्स टू क्वालिटेटिव्ह त्यावेळेला तर खूपच म्हणजे काय म्हणू फारसं समाधानकारक चित्र नाहीये. आय ऍग्री की त्याच्यावरती काम करावं लागेल. काय टर्म्स मराठीमध्ये आणायच्या त्याच्यावर काम करावं लागेल. जसं आता मी म्हटलं की ग्राउंडेड थिअरी त्याला मराठीत काय आणायचं टर्म ह्याच्यावर माझ्या गाईडनी आणि मी कोण एकेकाळी भरपूर डोकं फोडून झालंय की मराठीमध्ये काय टर्म आणता येईल. कारण त्या माझ्या मास्टर्सचे स्टुडंट MEdचे स्टुडंटचा रिसर्च मराठीत नव्हता. सो त्यावेळेला पण म्हणजे प्रयत्न केला होता तो, पण सगळं अख्खं बोलणं नाही आहे शक्य. सो दॅट वॉज थिंग. एनिवे अजून काही क्वेश्चन्स आहेत का इथे चॅट मध्ये? अजून मला क्वेश्चन्स आय एम नॉट एबल टू सी एनी क्वेश्चन्स इन द चॅट. सो इफ यू हॅव एनी क्वेश्चन्स यू कॅन प्लीज दे कॅन अनम्यूट अँड आस्क क्वेश्चन्स राईट. ते अनम्यूट करून विचारू शकतात ना क्वेश्चन्स. अलाउड आहे ना त्यांना?
हो लष्करी मॅडम युट्यूब वर क्वेश्चन आलेत का?
मी चेक करते मॅम, करते ते चेक करते.
युट्यूबला
तोपर्यंत
क्वेश्चन नाही
मला
आले की कोणाचे.
वैभवला हॅलो म्हणू दे. हॅलो वैभव.
आणि
Great to
काळे
see you.
चॅट बॉक्स
वैभव सरांचं नेक्स्ट सेशन आहे ना. सो या ही मस्ट.
युट्यूबला क्वेश्चन नाही आलेत कोणाचे.
नाही आले सर, मी पण चेक करते, नाही आलेत अजून.
आपल्याकडे 5 मिनिटं आहेत. 5 मिनिटं कोणाला वेळ विचारायचा असेल तर विचारू शकतात मॅडमला प्रश्न. 11:30 आपलं दुसरं सेशन सुरू होईल.
ठीक आहे. प्रश्न असतील तर थँक्स गिव्हिंग करा आणि पुढच्या
तुमच्या
सेशन.
थँक्स गिव्हिंगच्या आधी माझं थँक्स गिव्हिंग. थँक्यू सो व्हेरी मच फॉर दिस अपॉर्च्युनिटी. आणि ऍज अ सेड की क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च हा नेहमीच अत्यंत जिव्हाळ्याचा विषय राहिलेला आहे. आणि प्रत्येक वेळेला त्याच्याबद्दल बोलायचं ना तर असं नाही होत की अरे गेल्या वेळेला बोललंय ना अमक्या ठिकाणी ते उचला आणि बोला, असं नाही होत क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च. आणि इट्स व्हेरी फॉर्च्युनेट आय मस्ट से दॅट. कारण तुम्ही एक्सप्लोर करता काहीतरी नवीन अँगलनी बघता आणि इट इज अमेझिंग. मला माझ्यासाठी पण
चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये एक प्रश्न आलाय मॅम.
ऑल्सो ॲज अ लर्नर ऑफ
धारणकर मॅडम.
ईमेल आयडी मिळेल का? हो मिळेल.
हा, email ID
चॅट मध्ये टाईप करू.
येस.
हो चॅट मध्ये टाईप करा.
हो थँक्यू. ओव्हर टू यू. मी टाईप करते इन द मीन वाईल.
वैभव जाधव सर नमस्कार.
नमस्ते मॅडम. धारणकर मॅडमचं ऐकत होतो, बऱ्याच दिवसांनी आवाज ऐकलाय त्यांचा.
त्यांचं PhD क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च मधून आहे ना, त्यामुळे
Yes,
त्यांचं
I know. तो विषय आनंदापेक्षा जिव्हाळ्याचा आणि आवडीचा झालाय सध्या.
Absolutely.
धारणकर मॅडम थँक्यू व्हेरी
ठीक
मच.
है, धन्यवाद मैडम. आपका मार्गदर्शन बहुत मूल्यवान रहा सबके लिए. अभी हम 11:30 बजे दूसरा सेशन शुरू होगा. कोई लिफ्ट नहीं होगा, सब जुड़े ही रहेंगे.
मॅम मी लॉग आउट करते हा सेशन मधून.
हो मॅम.
बाय डॉक्टर
धन्यवाद.
वैभव. कधीतरी भेटू शांततेत.
Yes.
चलो बाय. मला पण शिकून घ्यायचंय अनालिसिस, बट अनफॉर्च्युनेटली आय टू रश बॅक टू ऑफिस नाव. तो
Yes,
आय
I
विल
know.
अटेंड. नाही तर मला आवडलं असतं फार.
I will share the PowerPoint presentation with you.
नाही मला मी युट्यूब आहे ना, युट्यूब वरून ऐकेन. नुसतं PPT वरून कळलं असतं तर तुमची माझी गरजच नव्हती वैभव सर. थँक्यू. चलो बाय.
नमस्कार सभी को. मैडम दूसरा सेशन शुरू करायचं आपण.
सुरू करा सर, सुरू करा.
अपना प्रथम दिन का दूसरा सत्र है डॉक्टर वैभव जाधव सर का। सर आपका हृदय से पुनः एक बार स्वागत और धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। सर का विषय है आज का 11:30 बजे से 1 बजे तक अपना ये सेशन रहेगा। उसमें 12 बज के 12 मतलब 12 से 45 तक अपना ये सेशन चलेगा और 10 मिनट का हम क्वेश्चन आंसर करेंगे। सर का आज का विषय रहेगा क्वालिटेटिव डाटा कलेक्शन एंड एनालिसिस। मैं वैभव जाधव सर का आप सभी को परिचय करवाता हूँ। डॉक्टर वैभव जाधव सर आप सहायक प्राध्यापक हैं। प्राध्यापक वैभव जाधव सर आप सावित्रीबाई फुले विद्यापीठ पुणे में सहायक प्राध्यापक है। आपकी शिक्षा MA, MEd, PGDE, DAS, नेट एवं आपने शिक्षा में PhD की उपाधि प्राप्त की है। आपको UGC रमन फेलोशिप के अंतर्गत 2017 में मैसाचुसेट्स विश्वविद्यालय एमहर्स्ट से पोस्ट डॉक्टरेट अनुसंधान की उपाधि मिली है। आपने विभिन्न पुस्तकें एवं पत्रिकाएं प्रकाशित किए हैं, जैसे कि आपकी संपादित पुस्तकें 5 है, सम्मेलन की कार्रवाई पुस्तक 7 है, कोर्स बुक 5, व्यक्तिगत पुस्तक 3। इसके अलावा आपने अनेक परियोजना कार्यक्रम में भाग लिया है। विभिन्न परियोजना जैसे कि DCUD में 3 जगह आपने भाग लिया, अंतरराष्ट्रीय परियोजना में 2 जगह, यूनेस्को परियोजना में 3। ऐसे विभिन्न गतिविधियों में आपने आपका सहभाग रहा है। आपके कुछ प्रकाशित पुस्तकें जिसमें लैम्बर्ट जर्मनी द्वारा अक्टूबर 2012 में टीचर एजुकेटर प्रकाशित किया। नवंबर 2012 में दृष्टि बाधितों के लिए सुलभ जीव विज्ञान प्रयोगशाला पुस्तक, शिक्षा में ICT एकीकरण भारतीय स्कूल परिप्रेक्ष्य प्रकाशित हुए हैं। आप सावित्रीबाई फुले विद्यापीठ में विभिन्न दायित्वों पर कार्यरत रहे हैं। खुला एवं दूरस्थ विभाग विद्यालय में आप प्रभारी निदेशक रहे। UGC, HRDC, SPPU द्वारा आयोजित ICTA में विशेष समर स्कूल ICT और शिक्षा के पुनर्चर्चा पाठ्यक्रम और सामाजिक विज्ञान के लिए कंप्यूटर अनुप्रयोग के लिए समन्वयक। 2008 से 9 में आप स्कूल ऑफ एजुकेशन YCMOU में व्याख्याता, युवाओं के लिए महाराष्ट्र के राज्यपाल द्वारा आयोजित इंद्रधनुष्य के समिति सदस्य। ऐसे विभिन्न दायित्वों का आपने निर्वहन किया है। आपने सावित्रीबाई फुले विद्यापीठ समिति में शिक्षा संकाय के अध्ययन बोर्ड के में सदस्य, परिप्रेक्ष्य योजना के सदस्य, IOE योजना के सदस्य, ऐसे विभिन्न योजनाओं का नेतृत्व किया है। आपने आज तक राष्ट्रीय 32, अंतरराष्ट्रीय 13 और राज्य क्षेत्रीय 13 सम्मेलनों में सेमिनार एवं कार्यशाला में सहभाग लिया है। आप सर आपका इस कार्यशाला में हृदय से धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। हम ये दूसरा सेशन शुरू करेंगे। सर मैं आपसे विनम्र निवेदन करूंगा कि आप अपने विचार रखिए। नमस्कार।
Thank you, Harish.
धन्यवाद सर।
Very much. First, I would like to express my thanks to Professor Ram Takavale Research Center and Director of this particular center, Professor Dr. Kavita Salwanke, who is giving me this opportunity to discuss with you. This is the very interesting topic, as earlier Dr. Dharankar mentioned. That is a very we are very passionate with the qualitative research nowadays. It is my request when we have a discussion about this qualitative data analysis. So please just open your cameras, because it is very difficult to teach or to learn or to make a discussion without any participation from the participants. So Harish sir, I request to all the participants, if they possible, they can
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
on the camera, so it will be very useful for me. Otherwise, namaskar, Shekar sir, namaskar. Otherwise, what happened? I feel that I am just in front of the wall, So it is very difficult to teach to the screen. Better to teach some places. थोड़ा लाइवनेस होना चाहिए तो दो चार आड़ा सर
यहाँ
थैंक
से
यू
सभी का कैमरा ऑन करना मतलब संभव नहीं हो पाएगा।
या
जिससे
जिनको नहीं तो पता चला कि मैं दीवार से बात कर रहा हूँ सो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मी आई
क्या है कि
एम
हम यहाँ से सबको अलाउ कर देंगे कैमरा ऑन, तो कोई कहाँ बैठे, कोई कार चला
जी
रहा
सर, आणि होते ना, इंटरेक्शन होते ना सर.
है। सभी से प्रतिभागियों से मैं निवेदन करूंगा, जिसको संभव हो अपना कैमरा ऑन ही रखे।
okay thank you so before going to so I am not teaching to you because I believe that teaching as a learner of the educational science teaching is not a place. I would like to discuss with you the lot of parameters of the qualitative data analysis. And there are some softwares available for the qualitative data analysis. So in next 1.5 hours, we will have a discussion on the qualitative data analysis and some softwares which are freely available on the website. So before going to chat box is open, before going to discuss further discussion, I would like to know that what is your perception, what is your understanding regarding this qualitative research? Because nowadays in education, we are very talking about the qualitative research everywhere. Some researcher is trying to conduct the research in the field of qualitative research. They are try to prove that this is another parameter, another paradigm, which is very good for us. So it is my request, you can give your answer in the chat box. What is your understanding? What you want to learn regarding the qualitative data analysis or qualitative research, basically? You can speak, you can type in the chat box.
नारळ पाणी वगैरे देतो तपासून झाला 2 नारळ पाणी
Yes, please.
काल झालं
Yeah, there are some research scholar. Okay, names are there. Anybody would like to say in Hindi, in Marathi, in English, what is qualitative research? What do your understanding? What do you mean by qualitative research? आपको क्या लगता है, क्या हो रहा है, आप कुछ कर रहे हो क्या, बुक्स कौन सा पढ़ा है? मराठी में बुक्स आ रही है अभी इसमें. For example, recently Dr. Sanjeevani Mahale we published very good book in Marathi also. Through qualitative research, we are trying to find answer of mainly why and how of a problem. Okay, Smita madam, thank you. Why and how?
ठीक आहे पाणी घेत राहा जास्त थोडं चक्कर वगैरे मार.
Real world problems. Amol sir, Amol Mohite sir. Okay, so it is a very actually I know that this is a very new concept as a researcher in the field of education. Maybe nowadays you heard about the qualitative research before. Generally, we are conducting a lot of research in the field of quantitative. We have very habitual about the pre-test model and all, collecting data, designing questionnaire. Qualitative research. थोड़ा सा आवाज येतोय हरीश. In this qualitative research, before going to discussion, I would like to just take some background regarding the philosophy. If you see there are the two extreme, Vedas and Buddhism. In the same way, idealism and realism. this theory is also talking about, or we can say this is one of the base of the qualitative research. Plato, Aristotle, and we can say idealism and realism. When idealism, in the idealism, you know that it is very well known to all of us as that ideas are very important in idealism. Generally, we are talking about the minds and first thought which is came in our mind. Then we were talking about the idealism. So it is a Platonic view that knowledge residing a priority within our mind steps in the image. You know the long as the image what we receive. So in our minds, when we have some kind of thoughts, some kind of ideas, some kind of things, which is the primary importance, which is highly primary importance. But another view, according to the realism, we can say that ideas are concept derived from the experience which actual object being event. So when we see the object, we have idea. And Platonic view is saying that when we have an idea, we can try to shape the new kind of the images. This is the very big dilemma. And as a researcher, generally we are combined their direct experience with their existing understanding through the complex reasoning to make sense of words. They explore. Someone already mentioned in the chat box that we are trying to find out the answer of the real problems which are around us, which real problems in the field of education. So there is the very good quote given by the Rosamund Vallis, who is the professor in the University of Massachusetts. They are saying that any researcher is making the combination of ideas and actual what kind of the objects are available in the field. So the best combination when this is the best philosophical base of qualitative research that when we are trying to make a combination of real facts, reality, ideas, real objects, some events, when we can make a good combination, when we are trying to find out the real answer of your any kind of the question. This is a just word view about the analysis, which is called that three type of analysis. So there are the three researcher, writer, author. They are the practitioner in the field of qualitative analysis. They have their own ideas regarding the qualitative analysis. If you see that Madison, Hamberman, and Walcott are the three very renowned author and researcher and practitioner in the field. Teacher education.
सर एक सेकंड, आपकी पीपीटी शेयर कर सकता हूँ मैं यहाँ पे?
So when we see the I can't say that it is a step, but it is a strategy is how we can conducting the qualitative data analysis. Before taking a lot of discussion, I would like to know that what kind of the form have you known about the qualitative research? So
sir.
सर आपने पीपीटी शेयर की है, मतलब यहाँ पे स्क्रीन पे नहीं दिख रहा है?
yes, already I share.
नहीं,
नहीं,
स्क्रीन
sir.
पे दिख नहीं रहा है किसी को.
Again, I would like to share.
ओके, दिख रहा है सर.
So these are the three things, three researcher, three practitioners in the field of qualitative research, and they have their ideas on a particular points which is already I given as the analytical strategies. Before we have a discussion, again I would like to ask from your side that have you heard about the form of the qualitative data? How the qualitative data collected, what kind of tools are generally used for qualitative data or in the field of qualitative research? Which kind of, because we are very familiar with the questionnaire, with scale, which are used in the qualitative research. So I would like to know that Have you heard about any qualitative data analysis, data collection tool? So please let me know that. So we will have some discussion on. क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च में जो हम डेटा कलेक्ट करते हैं उसके लिए कौन सा जनरली कौन से टूल्स अवेलेबल हैं और उसके बारे में अगर आपको पता हो तो जस्ट यू कैन टाइप इन द चैट बॉक्स आल्सो. Interview, very good. Why? Okay, Asha. Okay. What is the difference between the qualitative data and quantitative data? It's very simple. Yes, in the form of text, in the form of some sentences which is noted in the diary, description, narration. Very good, Dipti. Dipti from Ashok College of Education. Okay, why interview is the qualitative data analysis, data collection tool? Why we can say it is a qualitative data? Asha, why we call it that
Yes.
qualitative data?
Yes, sir. Because in interview, we may ask the interviewee the questions regarding the open-ended. What are their opinions? What are their suggestions? And it is very difficult sometimes to conclude this data in quantitative form. So we just make it some kind of categories, whatever the opinions they are sharing. So it becomes easier in qualitative that what the data respondent is presenting their answers, and it is also easy to interpret the data. So it is mostly not possible to frame into quantity. So that's why in interview, with the help of interview, we can analyze the data.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, she is mentioning that when we are talking about some qualitative data, some research is trying to transfer the qualitative data in the quantification. So it is my request to all the researchers, even those are completed their PhD. Nowadays, we have a lot of different kind of the resources and tools are available to analyze the qualitative data. So no need, first is that, Asha, first is very important, that no need to transfer your data in the quantification, or no need to make a data in a quantification. Because the real sense, already Dipti mentioned about it, is very important thing that sometimes data is available in the form of the words, in the form of the paragraphs. At the same time, some kind of the data is available in the form of the photos, visual, video recordings, audio recordings. So this is also the form of the qualitative data. It is very good that it is unexpected answer from the participants that Adipti mentioned this thing, that visual and videos. Because visual, or we can say videos and photos, are also the very important data in a qualitative analysis. So thank you very much, Dipti. So it is very interesting when we have a big dilemma or big question in front of that, how I can analyze the photos, how can I can analyze the particular recordings, how I can analyze the particular interview, how I can analyze the particular data which is in the form of the words. So there are some kind of strategies are available. For example, sketching ideas. When we collected the data with the help of number of tools, which is already you know that, in the form of the we can say in the form of the qualitative words or recordings, that time defining the ideas with the help of your entire data. It is not easy to analyze the data. So like a quantitative analysis. So in a quantitative analysis, we can distribute the questionnaire to all the peoples. And after the 1 month, after the 2 months, we can collect the data. Then we can thought that, okay, we have a time, then we can analyze the data. No, in the qualitative research, it is a similar process. So when we have to collect the data, for example, on particular day, at the same time, same day, we need to not analyze, but we need to reorganize, organize, in the form of the various tables, in the form table in the sense, not in the table in the word number, but some words identifying some ideas, taking some notes from the particular data, summarizing some notes. So these are the very important strategies when we collected the data, and it is going at a one time. It is not just like a steps 1, 2, 3, which is defined in a quantitative research or quantitative data analysis. Again, I would like to focus on the same thing, that collecting data is one of the phase in a quantitative research, organizing data and then analyzing data. So we can take a lot of time. We can identify, we can define the time frame for all the steps in quantitative data analysis. But in a qualitative data analysis, it should be go at the same time all the steps. It is not just like a step by step. So, for example, once we collect the data, for example, there are strategies which are sketching the ideas. We need to read entire. For example, in an entire day, I interview 3 to 4 teachers. I observe some particular community for my research. I click some photos of particular events. At that time, we have to go with the strategies, sketching idea, taking notes, summarize the field notes. Suppose entire in a day, I collected data, I made an observation of particular community regarding my research. So at the end, at the particular day, at the end of the day, we need to summarize all the things. Working with the particular words, when we interview of the people, that time the interviewer tracing some important words, important sentence, so we need to identify particular thing. Identify code. Yeah, code is, I will explain later on what is a code and decoding. So count frequency of the code. Sometimes we define the codes. Sometimes we define the particular themes, sub-themes. So how many times it is occur in a particular interview. So this is very important thing, that suppose I interview regarding the perspective of the students regarding the higher education. Suppose this is my area of the research. And I interview a lot of teachers, students in higher education. Those are the stakeholders from the higher education. I selected 100 teachers. I selected 1,000 students. So before entering in the field to making the interview, I need to identify some themes and some kind of sub-themes in our mind, and we enter with a particular structure and structure interview questions in the field. And there is also interesting thing is that data triangulation. Already Dr. Dharankar mentioned that we need to at least use more than 2 tools for the data collection in the qualitative, in every research, not only in the qualitative research, but in every research. So this will be the helpful to making your data is normal and valid, we can say. So when we designing the themes of your research, for example, that perception of higher education, this is my broad area of the research, and I am going to I have 2 kind of informants, students and teachers. There are a lot of things that students, teachers, parents, officers, higher some directors and some higher officials from the government of particular government, state government and central government. But at the for the discussion, I can say that teachers, students and parents. So these are my 3 informants, and I want to collect the data from the particular topic that already I mentioned that. So I need to identify some themes in my mind before entering the field. So I would like to know that, for example, these are the 3 informants, that first is students, second is teacher, and fourth is parents. So when I collect the data, I need to identify a particular tool, proper tool for 3 informants. Just one question to ask. For example, which tool I am going to, as which kind of qualitative data analysis tool I am going to use for students, teachers, and parents. Yes, please. My question is that मेरे जो information मिलने वाले जो मेरे sources हैं, वो तीन हैं. पहला है कि स्टूडेंट है, टीचर्स है और उनके पेरेंट्स हैं. तो इनके लिए अगर मुझे पूरा मेरा रिसर्च क्वालिटेटिव अप्रोच से ही मैं करने वाला हूँ, तो कौन से टूल मैं इनके लिए यूज कर सकता हूँ? स्टूडेंट्स के लिए कौन सा क्वालिटेटिव डेटा कलेक्शन का टूल यूज कर सकता हूँ? जस्ट फॉर बिफोर गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग द एनालिसिस, एक छोटा सा एक्टिविटी हम करेंगे. आप कुछ बता सकते हैं प्लीज? Yes, can I take the name, for example, those I know the people here in this gathering, virtually those that join here. Sarika Nikam, Amol Mohite, Kiran Khod, Jaya Srivanshi, Roshali Borse, Smita Zadav, Nisha Karat. Yes, please. For students, observation. Okay. For teachers, हेलो, बोलिए. या पता, मुझे नहीं पता चल रहा है कि आप लोग मेरे सुन रहे हैं या नहीं सुन रहे, पता नहीं. आई डोंट.
सुन रहे सर, सुन रहे.
सो मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि मुझे जो डेटा कलेक्शन करना है उसमें से कौन से टूल आ सकते हैं? आशा ने कहा है कि स्टूडेंट्स के लिए मैं ऑब्जर्वेशन कर सकती हूँ, टीचर्स के लिए मैं
questionnaire.
इंटरव्यू. Okay, questionnaire. It is I'm asking about the qualitative data collection tool, and questionnaire maybe I don't know. Are you talking about the yes/no question type, or you are talking about the some different thing? Okay, no problem. And for parents, anybody else? Rubric based on behavior. Rubric based on behavior. Okay, very good. Rubric which is based on the behavior of the informants. Am I right? Sushmala Deshmukh may be good. So this is also very good answer. Yes. So rubric, we can develop the rubric which will depend on the behavior. If you can ask me the same question, so I would like to focus that I can develop a rubric for the rating scale. Rating scale, it is not actual the proper data collection tool in the qualitative research. Rating scale, then we can get the data in the form of the numbers. So rubric, I can design a rubric for the students. Dr. Jadhav, for example. So rubric is, we can design a rubric. How we can design the rubric for the understanding the behavior of the students in any research. I told you my research area, that perception of higher education. Perception of higher education. So generally for the students, we need to conduct the focus group discussion. For teacher, I need to conduct the interview. And for the researcher, again, I need to conduct the focus group discussion. You should ask me why that. This is the bifurcation of all these things. So, students' interest. Okay. What means students' interest? I could not understand. There is one. Okay. So, when I want to take the perception from my informants, that time it is very difficult to reply as a student on a higher education. So better we can conduct the focus group discussion. So we can call the 10-20 students and we can ask question, or we can create your discussion in a group. So that will be the very easy to all the informants. They will become familiar with you within a discussion and they will reply slowly on your answers. For the teacher, we need to conduct the structure and structured interview because teachers are very familiar of all the issues in higher education. So we can design some questions according to our objective or research question, and we can conduct the data. We can conduct the interview. For parents, they are maybe literate, illiterate. They are very maybe they are shy to reply on your questions or on your discussions. So better you can collect the group and collect the data. So these are the things. Once you collected this kind of data in the forms of words, in the forms of photo, in the forms of lot of discussion, that time we can use all the strategy, that sketching the ideas, taking some notes, summarize the particular notes at the end of the day, finding the proper words from the entire data, finding the some proper sentence from the data, identify some codes. If you design some themes and you can identify, you can label to codes of particular themes, then you can identify codes and supports. Then once you making codes of particular theme, for example, now I would like to give an example of my theme is that job opportunities. This is one of the my theme of the data collection. So entire discussion with the students, with the teachers, with the parents, and with all the stakeholders. If I find, suppose there is a code for job satisfaction, suppose I made some code of some triangle, some sign code, some color code, then I need to identify what is the frequency, how many people are talking about the job opportunity because of the higher education. So again, I would like to say here that don't make a quantification. Frequency just kind of take one kind of understanding to us because we have very familiar with the quantitative data. So frequency, suppose we can get it at 20 times. So it is just sake for your understanding. No need to use these numbers in interpretation, please. So relating the category. So कोणाचा तरी आवाज येतोय त्यांना म्यूट करता येईल का? ओके. Okay. So sometimes some data, once we get a data from different kind of sources, informants, once you have a lot of data on a particular day, I'm talking about particular day. It is not like a quantitative that we collect the data. After next 1 week, we can collect the data, and after 1 week, after 1 month, we can analyze the data. No, here we collect the data on particular day. We need to analyze the data. At least we need to going through the strategy on a particular day. So we can try to relate the codings, relate the categories. Relate the categories. So suppose we collect the data from student, teacher, and parents. So we are trying to relate the answers or same thing with each other. Suppose we can make some categories, for example, vocational education, skill-based education in higher education, vocational in higher education, value-based education in higher education. Suppose these are the 3 categories of my discussion or data collection process. That time I am trying to relate all category to each other from the data which is given from the students, teacher, and parents at the same time. I hope it is very complex, but you can try to understand that. So we need to try to relate our entire data with the particular design themes and sub-themes. अगर हमने कुछ आइडेंटिफाई करके रखा होगा कोई थीम, फॉर एग्जांपल हायर एजुकेशन की 3 कैटेगरी हमने करके रखी होगी कि वोकेशनल एजुकेशन इन हायर एजुकेशन, value education in higher education, skill based education in higher education और blah blah. So सारा जो डेटा हमारे पास आया है उस दिन पे, तो हम ट्राई करेंगे कि उसको रिलेट करेंगे. We are trying to relate the common things with the particular themes, categories को relate करेंगे. Then we can relate at the same day or which we had some kind of literature with us. Then we can try to connect these categories, this which word you found, which ideas you found, which themes you found. You are trying to relate with the literature which is you had already with us. Or at the same time, we can make a literature review also. Sometimes we can create a particular point that, okay, this is the one point that at least we can summarize the things with the particular point, particular top of the particular themes and sub-themes. So these are some strategies which we are using, we can use in the data analysis process. So with this picture, maybe it will be clear for you that what I'm trying to say that these are the two things. For examples, I'm giving some examples of the data analysis and some procedure of particular examples. We will go with the data procedure that already I mentioned that once we collect the data on particular day with the help of different kind of data collection tool, we need to manage the data. Management, we need to arrange the data properly. I remember my guide, when I completed my research, my guide told me that if you collect data in your diary form, so at the same day, you have to read the particular diary and reading. So this is the second thing is that reading and memoing. Memoing is just identifying the concepts. So you have to read the data at the same day. You have to listen the particular interview at the same day. It is not like not like that. You can suppose I interviewed Dr. Asha as the principal of higher education, dated on 25th or 26th October. And then I thought, okay, I have a interview in my recorder. And after 2-3 days, I will make it analysis. I can read, I can listen it, and then I can analyze the particular interview. So there are a lot of threads in this procedure. If you are doing like this way, it is very difficult to making proper analysis of particular interview. So you need to organize the data. You need to sometimes you need to classify data according to themes. You need to classify. Sometimes you have to arrange the data according to some variables. So it is up to you how you can think, but it is a one procedure that sometimes you can arrange the data according to the informants also. Already I mentioned that 3 informants. You can arrange your data according to. Then you can representing the entire things in front of you at one glance. So it is a very rigorous and critical procedure to not analyzing, to arranging the data. For example, there are some examples of the data. For sometimes we have some units files. Nowadays we are using the computers for the data analysis or generally storing the data. So you should be organize your data into the proper folders, proper files, proper units. Nowadays, it is a big question in front of you, in front of us, that organizing the data in the form of the soft form. For example, if you see a good, I'm not good or bad say, but जिनको अच्छे से कंप्यूटर का ज्ञान हो, उनका डेस्कटॉप आप देखिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल जिनका पहले आप डेस्कटॉप देख के हम पता चल सकते हैं कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ डेटा इसका कैसा होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं now my student is there, Asha. So suppose I ask to her that show your desktop. So आपका desktop अगर पूरा भरा होगा, so you can say that this is not a good way to organizing the data. So with the computer now we need to organize your data very properly. If you are going to use the software for data analysis, reflecting, writing note across the questions. When we have a diary, we have a diary with us. So you need to make it all the reflection in properly. At the same time, for example, you can use the number of sketch pens, color sketch pen or color pencil to writing the notes. Why I'm saying that, it is very easy to understand. We call it that color coding. For example, suppose I interview Principal Asha, Dr. Amol Mohite, or Dr. Smita, for example. And they were talking about job opportunity in higher education, how the education relate with the higher education. That time, when I am taking notes, that time I can try to make it some colors or some kind of sign line. Sign coding is also very good way. So write a triangle, square, cross, dollar. So you can use this kind of things while you are trying to collect the data, and this is the basic step to analyzing your data. So it is very interesting because it will take time also. For example, in a one day you can conduct at least one interview only, one or two, not more than two interviews, because to understand things, it may take a lot of time and create a lot of chaos in your mind. That's why you can try to find proper coding, color coding and sign coding and category, proper category according to the theme or sub themes, or according to the we can say, already I mentioned that according to the information. Already I discussed about this organizing data in computer, that generally you will make a backup. So you can use the computer for the data organization. This is very important thing this is the prior step, not step, we can say it is a procedure actually. I can't गलती से मेरी सब वो स्टेप्स, क्वांटिटेटिव एनालिसिस का इतना इम्पैक्ट है हमारे पे स्टेप्स आ जाता है. ये प्रोसीजर का एक भाग है कि रीड एंड व्यूइंग ऑल द डेटा, रीड एंटायर ट्रांसक्रिप्ट several times to get an overall meaning and breaking into the parts. Already I mentioned that when I conducted interview of 3 people or 2 people in a day, I read the interview again and again. I listen the interview again and again. Then I try to find out the themes, sub-themes, some words, some sentence, important sentence, quote-unquote sentence. Or sometimes there is a thoroughly a big interview that we can cut the interview into small parts, micro parts, some chunks, we can say. Chunks, one chunks of vocational education, one chunks of. So it is not easy that distributing the question and collecting the question and analyzing the question. So it is a part. That's why the sample in a qualitative research is very few. 10 teachers interview, 20 teachers interview. That is equal to 100 and 200 data which we collect from the. I'm not comparing, but I'm trying to explain the importance of the informants in a qualitative research. So once you make an interview of any person, when you can, you need, the second thing is that suppose I interview of Dr. Asha or another teacher, another principal. At the same day, I need to write entire transcript in the form of the paper or words, or I need to type. Nowadays, if interview automatically, nowadays softwares will help you, computer will help you to minimize your efforts. So automatically the entire transcripts will be available with the help of some software. But it is my request to all the researchers, you can use such kind of software, but you can read, you can listen the interview again and again. So you will get a lot of meanings. Very interesting thing in reading entire transcript or listening entire recording. I don't know how many people maybe agree with me. Sometimes teachers take a pause. Sometimes teacher or those are informers giving information. While giving information, he or she takes some pause, some kind of trace. Sometimes he trace and she trace on some words, some sentence. So these are the very small things, but in analysis of qualitative data, these are the very important feature. While you are analyzing the particular interview, so you need to listen very carefully where he take a pause or she take a pause. Suppose he takes a pause for any question, so you need to try to interpret why he took such a long pause or some kind of what I'm trying to say that you need to observe the facial expression of particular person on particular interview day also. And you can remind the entire interview at the same day, at the evening, at the night. That's why in a qualitative data analysis, you have to analyze particular interview on a particular day only. Then you will understand the real meaning of the particular interview. Otherwise, you will be missed a lot of things. Make notes and memos in a margin of transcript, field notes, photograph. As you read to note key phrases, ideas, concept. Already I mentioned that. I interview of the focus, not interview. I make a focus group discussion for all the students. And when I collect the data, that time you are making diaries and points. At the same time, one of your fellow, one of your friend who is helping to you, अगर नहीं हो तो आपको लेके जाना चाहिए, who can click the photos of the entire focus group discussion. The photos, the expression of the students will helpful to analyze the data. And that is the real base. The entire thing is the base for your analysis. And that notes become a part of your hardcore analysis. Do you get my point? What I'm trying to say? मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं अकेला बोल रहा हूँ. So I need to check that with my all the listener. Near 92 listeners are there. मैंने कुछ बोला तो इसमें any question up to this slide, up to this point? Any question, please? Dr. Baburao saying that it is a group. I agree, non-verbal behavior is important. Yeah, okay, right. Very good. Thank you. So, मुझे भी कॉन्फिडेंस आता है ना कि मैं बता रहा हूँ. मैं तो पता चला बस मैं सामने मेरे स्क्रीन है बस उससे मेरा फोटो ही दिख रहा है. Yes. Yeah, please reply in the chat box also. So if you are unable to see it camera, you can write in the chat box what you understood, for example, Dr. Smita Zadav mentioning that non-verbal behavior is important while the data. Yes, please. बोलते कोणी बोला. हेलो. ओके. अर्चना मैडम, माधव सर तो नहीं है, सॉरी. हरीश, I think there is no question from the audience. So,
सर युट्यूबला एक प्रश्न आहे. संबंधित संशोधनाचा आढावा असं विचारलं त्यांनी.
Yes, sometimes some teachers,
सर
we,
आवाज येतोय माझा?
yeah, I got the question. Thank you, Harish. Sometime maybe, so with this word, I am trying to give the answer to a particular word. Review of related literature and research. In a quantitative research or in general, we have a habit that we are collecting lot of review at the initial stage of the research. I know that what I made a mistake at that time. But reviewing the review of particular related data, literature, it is not a one step which is made an initial time. It is a continuous process. Whenever you have to some question, we can try to identify, we can try to search some reviews. In a qualitative research, if you see the software which is I'm going to discuss with you, MaxQD or NVivo. In both softwares, when we enter the data, the software is also giving one tab that you can try to find the reviews on a from the database. Suppose my three informants, which already I mentioned that Dr. Asha, Dr. XYZ, and Dr. ABC, and they have a common opinion about particular topic. That time I'm trying to search some review at the same time. That's why I'm saying the data analysis in a qualitative research, it is not step by step. It is a continuous process with the entire research is continuous. Data collection, data analysis, reviewing and discussion and writing interpretation. These are the entire process is going to the same time. That is I can say it is the beauty of the qualitative research. So you cannot make a steps. You cannot make steps. You can carry all the process at the same time. So review is also very important part in a qualitative data analysis. Suppose you found very different opinion about the particular things from the informants. That time you can try to find review at the same time. So that is very what I thought that you maybe asked such thing. Then describing and classifying codings. This is also forming codes and category of the data, describe the context settings. For develop only about the 25-50 codes. Knowing the data, codes can be counted to see how frequently they are appearing in the data. Already I mentioned that. There are two types of the coding. I mentioned you that color coding and sign coding. If you are identify themes and sub-themes before enter the field, you can make a level of code. Some code, for example, color coding and sign coding. Use the color code while analyzing the review. That time also you are using this kind of codes. Sometimes code segment describe the information and develop the theme also. It describe information that researcher expect to find before the study. Describe surprising information researcher did not expect to the find. Or describe information that is conceptually interesting and unusual to researcher. I would like to add here one more. Describing at the same time, describe the information, some codes are evolving. That is also interesting part when we are using the code system. So already I mentioned that if you see here, annotation I am using. researcher why it is not so this is things that researcher expect to find before the study. Sometimes we can find the things before they enter in the field. Some information we are getting at the same. Sometimes the things can be changed. Use code to develop the larger theme. Sometimes we need to make a larger themes are the broad general ideas already mentioned about that perception of higher education, the vocational of higher education, skill-based expression of the higher education, and another themes. So sometimes you can identify sub-themes also. For one theme is there, and we can create sub-themes also according to your need of the research question.
नाही नाही पैसे घेऊन घ्या मग असं कसं आहे तुमच्या खाली ते जमत नाही ते आपल्याला त्याचं त्याच्या काढून घ्या आम्ही
आवाज येतोय आवाज येतोय data I can remove how I can remove that. Okay. So all qualitative research is interpretation of data is one of the procedures that already we are talking here that how it can be when you, for example, take one example about the perception of higher education. At the same time, when researcher try to interpret any theme with the different view of the informants, that time he is trying to interpret with his own experience. This is the beauty of the qualitative data analysis. As a researcher, you can try to be open with the information. How I can try to say that? अगर हमने वो डेटा एनालिसिस करते वक्त we learn some things and we can create some sense of belonging, some sense which you feel that it is important. So that time with the help of some review, you are the free to making notes, annotation. Bhaskar Igwe is asking something about the lesson learned, maybe. Or sometimes it is based on personal view that are constructed with the social science construct. For example, generally, when researcher is trying to give his own opinion, supervisor asking that what is the base, where is the review? So it is it is scientific. There is a scientific reason. But in a qualitative research, you can be open with your findings. Konasri, mute kara. Hello.
Yes, sir.
कोणीतरी बोलते ओके ठीक आहे योगेश भुसारे
केलंय सर म्यूट केलं त्यांना
Also, in an analysis process, researchers sometimes would leave the interpretation to the large research literature. The question, someone is asked on YouTube that what is what I perceive. The question is that which is the most reliable data collected from the quantitative and qualitative or mixed method? Kirti Chitte, Dr. Kirti Chitte asking about one question that which is so reliable data. How we can define the reliable data? There are the proper mechanism is there. In a quantitative, we have we can make a normality of the data. We can do with the help of this thing, we can say that this is the reliable data. In a qualitative, it is very interesting how we can say that it is reliable or not reliable. That's why we need to use the more than 2-3 tools for the analyzing the data triangulation. And we are trying to find out the common data. So sometimes this is the one of the data triangulation or data triangulation for the reliable data. So these are the two things, Kirti. So what I'm saying that when researcher is analyzing the data, the large data, that time he is trying to take the help from the reviews, whatever the literature is there. There is another thing is that representing and visualizing sometime data. A researcher packages the finding sets, text tables and figures. When I using the MaxQda or NVO, both are the softwares for the data analysis. We are very habitual to sketching some tables in the research, in the thesis. हमें बड़ी आदत लगी हुई कि उसको एक टेबल चाहिए हर पेज पे या 2-4 पेज के बाद टेबल चाहिए होते हैं. एनालिसिस की एक आदत लगी. इन क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च such softwares are giving some tables of your theme wise. They are arranging some tables. It is very interesting things. लेकिन नहीं करने चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से, अकॉर्डिंग टू माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग. क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च को आपको थॉरोली लिखना चाहिए. So you can try to interpret the data. That is the important thing in a qualitative research. But sometimes we need, okay, नहीं मुझे ये करना है, मुझे थोड़ा सा मैट्रिक्स बनाना है. फॉर एग्जांपल मैट्रिक्स टेबल कैन बी यूज्ड कंपेयर अबाउट द मेन ओपिनियन एंड वुमन ओपिनियन ऑन पर्टिकुलर थीम्स एंड पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी. टीचर का स्टूडेंट को ओपिनियन चाहिए, अगर मुझे इसको मैट्रिक्स बनाना है तो हम कर सकते हैं. लेकिन इट इज माय रिक्वेस्ट टू दैट यू कैन ट्राई टू एनालाइज बोथ ओपिनियन एंड यू कैन ट्राई टू find your own understanding, your own interpretation as a researcher instead of the comparison. But sometimes कुछ रिसर्च की आवश्यकताएं होती है कि उसको कंपैरिजन करने की जरूरत होती है. दैट टाइम यू कैन डू इट द कंपैरिजन in the form of the table, but not in the form of the numbers, in the form of the words. You can make a comparison. Sometimes we can try to make some diagrams and tree. These things are the beautification of the thesis, but I don't think so. That time you need to use this thing again and again. So if it is really need, you can try to show. Sometimes a lot of words are not able to speak things. So single diagram, single picture can be say a lot of things. That time you can use it in your analysis or in interpretation. In analysis, not in interpretation, but in analysis. Coding diagrams. So these are the visualizing things in the analysis. Yeah, any question? So yeah, up to this level किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन हो या कोई थिंग्स हो इंटरेस्टिंग जो आपको पूछनी हो तो लेट मी नो दैट. हेलो, नो क्वेश्चन. हेलो, नहीं क्वेश्चन. हरीश, मैं ऑडिबल तो हूँ ना?
Yes,
Am I
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
आप ऑडिबल हो.
मुझे लगा मैं
Yes, sir.
अब ये जो यस यस है तो उससे अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछो. ओके, ठीक है. एज अ रिसर्चर यू
सर
नो
4 ग्रुप में किसी ने कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं? What is the SPSS
Sir,
process?
What is the yes. पहले चैट बॉक्स बाद में कोई पूछ रहा है क्वेश्चन.
हाँ, किसी को कोई प्रश्न पूछना हो तो पूछ सकते हैं.
हॅलो सर,
सुभाष सर बोला.
माझा काय प्रश्न नाही, पण ते जॉईन होताना 100 पार्टिसिपंट पुढे झाल्यानंतर जॉईन होत नाही.
सर
त्यासाठी
युट्यूब
काय
लिंक
करताना
दिलेली
आम्ही
ना
वंचित राहिलोय.
सर युट्यूब लिंक दिलेली आहे, ग्रुपवर टाकलेली आहे, त्याच्यावर बरेचसे लोक जॉईन झालेले आहेत.
ओके. सुभाष सर
ठीक
तिकडे
आहे. एवढंच ऍडमिशन, एवढंच फक्त माझी शंका आहे, तेवढीच निश्चित झाली.
Okay, no problem. What is the SPSS process? SPSS is not process. SPSS is one of the software. It is developed by the IBM, that statistical package for social sciences, SPSS. This is software for the quantitative data analysis. This is not for the qualitative data analysis. I told about NBO and Max QDA, MAX QDA, maximum qualitative analysis. These are the software. So SPSS is not process. How to select the tool and method to analyze data to prove the hypothesis. This question, I want to give the answer of this question in the light of qualitative analysis, qualitative approach. When we are trying to find the answer of research question, that time we can design the hypothesis in qualitative research also. So it is depend on your research question, which you are it depends. Then you can select the tool and method for analyzing the data. Sir, give software tools for qualitative analysis. Definitely, I am going to this point. 2 या 3 सॉफ्टवेअर्स के नाम why we are need to use the qualitative data analysis softwares. Basically, my question is that why we are using the computer for the data analysis. It is nothing but the minimizing your efforts. That's it. हमें intervention of computers in teacher education researchers, it means that we are trying to minimize the efforts. कंप्यूटर का यूज ये है कि हमारी कुछ शक्तियां कम हो जाए. इसका मतलब ये है कि कंप्यूटर इंटरप्रिटेशन नहीं करता. देयर इज नो possibility of the computer and computer software, particular software, to making the interpretation of your data. No, not at all. Interpretation in qualitative research and quantitative research, it is the pure work of the researcher. Who can do this kind of the activity. ये बाकी सब मैकेनिज्म हो सकता है, लेकिन इंटरप्रिटेशन वो रिसर्चर ही कर सकता है. सो कंप्यूटर, अभी आप suppose nowadays you people are talking about that, okay, we can ask the question to GPT, you can ask question to Google and they can give the answer. This is not interpretation, this is only information. Interpretation means information need to transfer into the knowledge. That is the interpretation. And it can be done by the researcher who is working in particular area. That's it. So quality, there are a lot of softwares are available in the market. All are the paid softwares nowadays. VR softwares is very less in the market. I would like to show you 1 or 2 softwares which is available in the paid form. You can purchase as an institute, you can purchase as an individual also. But we are Indians, we can use the softwares for free 15 days, free 1 month. These are the features of the any softwares of the qualitative data. They are easily manage your data. They are trying to easily bifurcating your data in the forms of picture, words, and recordings. They are easily making category according to your code and themes. They are giving to you lot of similarities and differences at the same time with your data. That is the beauty of this softwares. Those are available in the market. These are the softwares are available for the qualitative data, basically qualitative data analysis. For example, already I mentioned about one example that I conducted interview of Dr. Asha as a principal, Dr. Smita as a teacher, or some, for example, Harish as a student. So these are the three different informants. The nature and the characteristics are the different. And I need to try to identify the common things on particular theme, common opinion on particular theme. That time these softwares are easily giving to the entire data in the forms of table, in the forms of diagram, in the forms of picture also. Sometimes we need to analyze the photos. So this is the Atlas T. Where is the MaxQDA? This is the MaxQDA. The MaxQDA is also I found with this software. Secondly, YCMOU, it is another good software. I don't use other softwares. So I use only MaxQDA and NVivo. In MaxQDA, what I found that we can analyze the group photos. When we click some pictures while interviewing or while focus group discussion, we can try to analyze the pictures also with your theme, with your sub-themes. So someone is asking me, I think, someone is asking about the softwares. I don't know who is asking, but these are the list of the various softwares. These are the some worldwide group. Those are working in the field of the qualitative research. Those who would like to conduct the research with their student, with themselves, किसी को खुद को PhD करना है, research करना है qualitative research में. So these are the community which is very well-known communities in the world. आप इस community को join कर सकते हो, उनके साथ आप discuss कर सकते हो. यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ जॉर्जिया इस community को handle करती है. You can make the member of this community. और वो हर दिन नए नए कुछ जो चीजें हैं, डेवलपमेंट्स हैं इन द फील्ड ऑफ क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च, वो इस ग्रुप में अपडेट होती रहती है. सो यू कैन ज्वाइन विद पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप्स व्हिच आर actively working in the field of the qualitative data analysis or qualitative research basically. These are the some another resources. So now I would like to show you this is important thing actually. It is not easy to explain software as a PowerPoint presentation. That's the foolish thing. मतलब ये कुछ मैं खुद ही गलत करूंगा ऐसा हो जाएगा. So I would like to show only one the feature of the software. नहीं तो बिना कंप्यूटर का कंप्यूटर सिखाने जैसा हो जाएगा. So this is a software which is known as the MaxQDA. This is the front page of this software, and this is the important feature surface. We can say this is the one surface of this software. In this surface, you can see that if you are not able to handle the data in a one day, already I mentioned that sometimes जैसे मैंने कहा कि आपको जिस दिन आपने इंटरव्यू लिया, जिस दिन आपने डेटा किया, उसी दिन आपको एनालाइज करना पड़ेगा. उसी दिन आपको उसको कोडिंग सिस्टम में डालना पड़ेगा. उसी दिन आपको उसके कॉमन एंड डिफरेंसेस अकॉर्डिंग टू थीम्स निकालने पड़ेंगे, लिखने पड़ेंगे. सो दीज आर द थिंग्स. ये आपको लगता है कि इट इज वेरी हेक्टिक एंड क्रिटिकल जॉब, तो आप इस सॉफ्टवेयर को डाउनलोड कर सकते हो और इस सॉफ्टवेयर पे.
Excuse me, sir, slides are not moving.
Slides are not moving.
We are on representing and visualizing slide. We can see that only.
So this is not my problem. It is maybe I need to stop and again share. Now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these are the softwares. Okay, these are the ये देखा था क्या आपने आशा? ये पाहिलं होतं का आशा?
नाही ना सर, नव्हतं पाहिलं.
These are the softwares which are the available. It is not free software. It is a paid software. लेकिन आप 15 दिन के लिए फ्रीली डाउनलोड कर सकते हो। 15 दिन के बाद इसका यूज नहीं हो पाता। और जो फ्री वर्जन होता है, those are the freely available for 15 days or 1 month. Some companies giving 15 days, some companies giving 1 month, some companies giving 7 days. So सारी फैसिलिटी उसमें उपलब्ध नहीं होती, अवेलेबल नहीं होती। So but it is my request to all of you, at least you can use what are the free things for the particular softwares. So Atlas T, NVO by QSR, MaxQDA, it is one of my favorite software. IdeaWorks, it is one of the Transna. So these are the free softwares available on a website. You can download with your Mac, with your laptop. Nowadays, it is, I heard that, I don't know, but I heard that it is very compatible with mobile also. But it is very difficult to finding all the tabs which are there available here. These are the sources. If you would you like to join as a researcher in this field, तो ये वर्ल्ड वाइड कुछ ग्रुप है जो जो खाली क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च पे ही डिस्कशन करते हैं। तो आप इस ग्रुप को ज्वाइन कर सकते हो, फ्रीली है, नो प्रॉब्लम। आप इस पे आपके क्वेश्चन रेज कर सकते हो, आप इसको क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हो, यू विल गेट द आंसर। These are the another groups. This is Max today, Max Weber, who is a very great social scientist. उसके नाम से इस सॉफ्टवेयर को नाम दिया गया है, IBM कंपनी ने बनाया था शायद। So Max Weber का Max, then Q for qualitative, D for data, and A for analysis. So Max Weber के नाम से Max QDA सॉफ्टवेयर है। This is the first surface of the Max QDA, and this is the very important main surface, main windows of this software, that you can see document system. When we collect the data, we transcribe the data. You can, once you transcribe the entire data, you can upload the transcript data in this segment. आशा दिसते का मी ते जे दाखवतो ते दिसते?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
तो ये जो पार्ट है, इसमें आप डेटा अपलोड कर सकते हो। लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, ऑलरेडी मैं इस एग्जांपल को फिर से कंटिन्यू करूंगा कि इफ आई कंडक्टेड इंटरव्यू ऑफ एनी प्रिंसिपल, सो आई गॉट द recording, then I listen recording again and again, then I make a transcript very properly with pause, with all the signs, and then I upload the particular data in this segment, document segment. Code system is there already. When before entering the data, you need to identify codes according to your research questions, hypothesis. Once you enter the data, इस डेटा को यहाँ पे किया, तो जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल प्रिंसिपल के नाम पे मैंने क्लिक किया, तो डेटा सारा जो प्रिंसिपल का इंटरव्यू है, वो सारा इंटरव्यू, वो सारा ट्रांसक्रिप्ट इस डॉक्यूमेंट ब्राउजर में आ जाएगा। फॉर एग्जांपल मैं आपको हैंग हो गया है, फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने इतने इंटरव्यू लिए थे, जॉन की, मिली, इनका सबका। सो ये सेगमेंट में डेटा आ जाएगा। इट इज अनदर, जस्ट आई एम शोइंग टू यू। विद इन 2 मिनट्स कोई सॉफ्टवेयर समझ में नहीं आएगा, लेकिन वो ट्रांसक्रिप्ट आपके सामने इस ब्राउजर में आ जाएगा, इस ब्राउजर में आ जाएगा, डॉक्यूमेंट ब्राउजर। और दिस इज द रिट्राइव्ड सेगमेंट। इन दिस रिट्राइव्ड सेगमेंट यू कैन गेट इट द योर आंसर। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मुझे कंपैरिजन करना है कि इंटरव्यू कंपेयर करना है डॉक्टर आशा का और डॉक्टर और कोई हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्मिता जाधव, इन दोनों का इंटरव्यू कंपेयर करना है, इनके मुझे ओपिनियंस कंपेयर करने हैं। तो जस्ट यहाँ पे क्लिक करो आप, ब्लू बटन, ये पूरे रिट्राइव सेगमेंट में वो कंपैरिजन आ जाता है अकॉर्डिंग टू द थीम वाइज। So that is the beauty of this software. It is not easy to complete within a 1 minute. So these are the things from my side. If you have any question regarding the qualitative data analysis, so you can ask me. Hello, no question?
सर व्हेरी नाईस सेशन.
हो थँक्यू. दोन गोष्टी असतात सेशन मध्ये, एक तर कळालं तर ठीक, नाही तर नाही कळालं तर मग
सर बहुत बढ़िया हुआ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं.
सर पण फक्त एक असा मेसेज आलेला आहे मला की सेशन अगदी म्हणजे छान झालेलं आहे. फक्त जी माहिती सर आपण सांगितली ती एकदा अगदी शॉर्टकट मराठीत सांगून द्या अशी विनंती, असं विनंती करतायत सर.
मॅडम आपण सरांची पीपीटी त्यांना शेअर करू शकतो असं.
मी पीपीटी पाठवतो. ती क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा अनालिसिस जी प्रक्रिया आहे, ही प्रक्रिया टप्प्याटप्प्याने करता येण्यासारखी नाहीये. ही जी प्रक्रिया आहे ही तुम्हाला कंटिन्युअस करावी लागते. जरा हरीश
यस सर.
आवाज येतोय?
हो हो yes, sir.
सर म्यूट करा ना सर त्या सरांना, कोण नाही.
थोडक्यात सांगतो, क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा अनालिसिस हा भाग टप्प्याटप्प्या, जसा क्वांटिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च मध्ये क्वेश्चनर वाटून दिल्या, डेटा गोळा केला, सगळ्या महाराष्ट्राचा डेटा आला, कपाटात ठेवला, नंतर तो एकत्रित डेटा काढला, तो आपण SPSS मध्ये एंटर केला किंवा अनालिसिस करायला घेतला, नंतर 2-3 महिने ब्रेक दिला, पुन्हा अनालिसिस केलं. तर ही प्रक्रिया तशी नाही. क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा अनालिसिसची प्रक्रिया अशी आहे की आपण जर, मी आता पुन्हा तेच उदाहरण घेतो, अशा माझी विद्यार्थ्यांचं नाव घेतो, सगळ्यांचेच नाव घ्यायला शक्य नाही ते. तर समजा एक इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला, तर त्या इंटरव्ह्यूचं ऍटलिस्ट ऑर्गनायझेशन ऑफ द डेटा, मॅनेजिंग डेटा विथ कोडिंग डिकोडिंग, विथ कोडिंग विथ कलर कोड अँड साइन कोड सपोज, तो त्या दिवशी संध्याकाळीच तो डेटा अनालाइज झाला पाहिजे. थोडक्यात असं माझं तिथे मला सांगायचं होतं की नाही तर होतं काय की तो डेटा मी रेकॉर्डिंग केलंय, समजा आशा मॅडमचे, मी माझ्या रेकॉर्डरने मी त्यांचा इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला, तर मी तो 2-3 दिवसांनी ऐकला आणि 3-4 दिवसांनी ट्रान्सक्रिप्ट केलं, तर त्याची माहिती जी मला पाहिजे ती माहिती, जे मला त्या गोष्टी त्या दिवशी ज्या आठवतील त्या आठवणार नाहीत. त्यामुळे क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा अनालिसिस मध्ये तुम्हाला डेटा कलेक्शन आणि डेटा अनालिसिस या दोन्ही प्रक्रिया तुम्हाला एकाच वेळेस कराव्या लागतात, अन्यथा तुम्हाला ते लक्षात राहणार नाही. आपण म्हणजे मी समजा मी खूप हुशार आहे, मला लक्षात राहील असं म्हणत असेल तर असं होत नाही. आपल्याला ते त्याच दिवशी तो अनालिसिस करायचं कारण आहे की त्या आपल्या, समजा मी इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला, फॉर एक्झाम्पल मी इथे यस डॉक्टर चित्ते आहे, डॉक्टर आशा आहे, डॉक्टर हरीश आहे, मी तिघांचा इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला आणि मला तिघांचा इंटरव्ह्यू त्या दिवशी ट्रान्सलेट केला, तर मला तिघांमध्ये फरक समजतात, मला तिघांचे ऍटिट्यूड समजतात, तिघांचं परसेप्शन समजतं, ते बोलताना कसे बोलले, ते काय बोलले, त्यांनी कुठे कुठे पॉज घेतला, त्यांनी का पॉज घेतला, त्यांनी कोणत्या शब्दावर भर दिला, कोणतं वाक्य पुन्हा पुन्हा इंटरव्ह्यू देताना बोलले, ह्या गोष्टी आयडेंटिफाय करता येतात, मला त्या नोट करता येतात. त्याचा अर्थ हाच की त्याच दिवशी त्याचं अनालिसिस किंवा त्याचं नोटिफिकेशन, त्याचं ट्रान्सक्रिप्ट त्या दिवशी तयार झालं पाहिजे. काही वेळेस तुम्ही अनालिसिस 2 दिवसांनी करा, परंतु ट्रान्सक्रिप्ट त्या दिवशी तयार होऊन त्याचं बायफर्गेशन कॅटेगरी वाईज थिमवाईज झालं पाहिजे, तर तुमचा डेटा हा वर्कआउट होऊ शकतो, अन्यथा तो होणार नाही. त्याचे प्रॉब्लेम्स येतात, मग कळत नाही, नंतर समजत नाही काय उत्तर दिलं होतं, का दिलं होतं, कुठे त्यांनी केलं, कुठे त्या थांबल्या, कुठे ते नाही बोलले, ह्या ज्या गोष्टी आपल्या लक्षात राहत नाही आणि मग तो डेटा अनालिसिस करताना मजा येत नाही किंवा ते पुस्तक समजत नाही, त्यांचं इंटरप्रिटेशन करता येत नाही, त्याला अर्थ लावता येत नाही, का थांबल्या मॅडम, का थांबले सर, हे कळत नाही. त्यामुळे
ऑब्जेक्टिव्हिटी कमी होते त्याच्यात.
एक्झॅक्टली, त्या गोष्टी आपल्याला तिथं करता येतात, त्यामुळे त्या दिवशीच तो अनालिसिस करावा, हा खरं त्याचा महत्वाचा भाग आहे.
सर मग एक मला असं सांगा, असं वाटतं की मग त्या व्यक्तीचा मानसशास्त्रावर खूप अभ्यास असला पाहिजे का?
असं काही नाही, आपल्याला काही त्याच्या मनात जाऊन घुसायचं नाही. साधारणतः समजा मी विचारलं की, साधारणतः माझा पहिला प्रश्न मी आशाला विचारला की सर बीएड केलेल्या सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांचं तुम्ही जॉबच्या दृष्टीने कसा विचार करतात प्राचार्य म्हणून, समजा त्यांनी लगेच उत्तर दिलं, समजा त्या थांबल्या, त्यांनी सांगितलं की नाही नाही, बीएड केल्यानंतर प्रचंड मोठ्या प्रमाणात संधी उपलब्ध असते, शिक्षक होता येतं आणि भरपूर नोकऱ्या उपलब्ध आहेत. आणि पुढचा प्रश्न विचारला की मग मॅडम तुमचे किती अलुमिनाय जॉबला लागले, आणि तिथे मॅडम थांबल्या किंवा त्यांच्याकडे डेटा नसला तर आपण असं म्हणू नाही शकत की अरे मॅडम तुम्ही चुकलात. तर आपल्याला त्याचं कळतंय ऍज अ इंटरव्ह्यू आपल्याला समजायला पाहिजे की डेटामध्ये तफावत येते, म्हणून डेटा 3 ठिकाणाहून घेतला पाहिजे. म्हणजे मुद्दा तिथे तेच, त्याला सायकोलॉजी असण्याचं काही गरज, अभ्यास असला तर उत्तम, नसला तर अतिउत्तम, तसा काही भाग नाही सायकोलॉजीचा अभ्यास. सायकोलॉजी करणारे काही संशोधक जर एज्युकेशन मध्ये असेल तर ते काय सगळे वापरतात असं काही नाही. त्यामुळे तो भाग तिथे येत नाही, फक्त तुम्हाला समजायला जातं थोडं सोपं की उत्तर कसं येत नाही. त्यामुळे माहिती 3 ठिकाणाहून जर घेतली, 3 दॅट डेटा ट्रायंग्युलेशन जे काही बोललो ते ट्रायंग्युलेशन करायचं कारण की माहिती 3 सोर्सेस कडनं घेतली गेली पाहिजे. एका सोर्स कडनं आलेल्या माहितीवरती कधी संशोधन करू नये किंवा एकाकी व्हेरिएबल वरती संशोधन करू नये. आपल्याकडे आजकाल सर्रास ते एकाकी व्हेरिएबल आणि सोर्सेस 2 किंवा 1 किंवा 2 सोर्सेस आपण माहिती गोळा करतो. तर माहितीची व्हॅलिडिटी आणि क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च मध्ये काय आहे गंमत आहे की तिथं तुम्हाला कोणत्याही प्रकारचं स्केल वापरायची नाही, तुम्ही त्याचं इंटरप्रिटेशन करताय. तुमची क्रिएटिव्हिटी, क्रिटिकल आणि अनालिटिकल थिंकिंग किती वापरतात त्याच्यावर अवलंबून आहे. त्यामुळे क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च लिहिताना खूप अवघड जातो. त्याचं कलेक्शन करताना, डेटा कलेक्शन करताना 10 ते 15 शिक्षकांकडनं घेणं म्हणजे खूप दिव्य काम असतं. आणि मी आज फोन केला डॉक्टर आशांना की मला तुमचा इंटरव्ह्यू घ्यायचा आहे. त्यांनी सांगितलं उद्या या. असं कधी होत नाही. आधी त्या इन्फॉर्मल बरोबर तुम्हाला मैत्री करावी लागते, ओळख करावी लागते, मग ते तुमच्या उत्तरांना प्रश्नांना वेगळ्या आणि चांगल्या पद्धतीने उत्तर देऊ शकतात. पहिल्याच इंटरव्ह्यू मध्ये तुम्हाला सगळी माहिती मिळते. आपल्याकडे सर्रास चालतं. किती लोकांचा इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला? 10 लोकांचा. किती वेळेस घेतला? एकच वेळेस घेतला नाही. इंटरव्ह्यू कमीत कमी तुमचा 3ऱ्या-4थ्या टप्प्याला इंटरव्ह्यू व्हायला हवी. पहिल्या 2 टप्प्यांमध्ये तुम्ही तुमच्या विषयांची ओळख करून देणे. पण आपल्याकडे काय किती इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला? 10 इंटरव्ह्यू घेतला. केव्हा घेतला? पहिल्या टप्प्यात घेतला. असं ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी मिनिमम व्हायला पाहिजे. लिमिटेशन्स आहे आपल्या संशोधनाची. 2 इंटरव्ह्यू घ्या, पण चांगल्या पद्धतीने घ्या. क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्चचे खूप चांगले चांगले नॉर्म्स आहेत. काही पुस्तकांची नावं आता इथे मी देऊ शकलो नाही दुसऱ्या ऑफिसमध्ये असल्यामुळे, परंतु काही पुस्तकं छानपैकी आलेले आहेत. मराठीमध्ये मला पुन्हा एकदा सांगायचं की डॉक्टर महालेंचं एक छान पुस्तक उपलब्ध आहे. आणि त्याचं आणि क्रेसवेलचं साम्य जर करायला गेलं मराठी इंग्रजीमध्ये तर खूप छान झालेलं आहे. ते पुस्तक आपण वापरू शकतो. मराठीमध्ये YCM पण आणि पुस्तक लिहित असतात. डॉक्टर क्रेसवेल नावाचा एक लेखक आहे, त्याचं पुस्तक आहे क्वालिटेटिव्ह क्वांटिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च. त्याच्यात तुम्ही ते आणि दोन्ही पुस्तकं YCMच्या लायब्ररीमध्ये उपलब्ध आहेत. म्हणजे जर हरीश ते फोटो काढून जर ग्रुपला टाकून दिले पुस्तकांचे, ते पुस्तक आपल्या लायब्ररीमध्ये आहे.
हो,
हो सर,
आहे सर.
ग्रुपला मी शेअर करतो ते पुस्तक. सर एक कमेंट बॉक्स मध्ये प्रश्न आलाय. कॅन यू suggest few areas where we can do latest areas untouched in?
चॅट मध्ये का तिकडं युट्यूबला आलाय का? तो क्वेश्चन हरीश कॉपी करून जर पेस्ट करता येईल का इकडे आपल्या चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये? मला प्रश्न नाही कळाला.
युट्यूबला आहे सर, तो युट्यूबला इकडे नाही.
करतो सर.
युट्यूबला नाहीये सर.
नाही नाही, इथे आहे सर. प्रश्न असा आहे,
झूमला चालाय चॅटला.
can you suggest few areas where we can do latest areas untouchable still, untouched still? म्हणजे असे काही एरियाज आहेत का की ज्याच्यावर अजून संशोधन झालेलं नाहीये?
क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च मधलं विचारतायत
हो,
का?
क्वालिटेटिव्हचं म्हणतायत.
क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च मध्ये परसेप्शन आफ्टर द कोविड इन हायर एज्युकेशन, त्यावर संशोधन करू शकतात तुम्ही. डिलेमा, मोठा डिलेमा आहे मोबाईल वापरायला. सॉफ्ट डिव्हाइसेस क्लासरूम मध्ये वापरायचे की नाही वापरायचे. म्हणजे गंमत बघा, कोविड आल्यावर युनेस्कोने जवळपास 100 लिंक दिल्या होत्या वेगवेगळ्या डिव्हाइस वापरण्याच्या. आणि मागच्या 2 महिन्यापूर्वी युनेस्कोने पुन्हा एक परिपत्रक काढलंय की आता मोबाईल वगैरे वापरू नका. तर असा हा एवढा मोठा चेंज का होतोय याच्यावर तुम्ही पब्लिक परसेप्शन वरती अभ्यास करू शकतात. क्वेश्चनर फक्त क्वेश्चनर तयार करू नका, इंटरव्ह्यू घ्या, फोकस ग्रुप घ्या, नुसतं अनालिसिस करा. रिव्ह्यूचे अनालिसिस केलं तरी आपण भरपूर मोठ्या प्रमाणात क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च करू शकतो. शेड्यूल ट्राईब हा जो त्यांच्या शिक्षणाच्या संदर्भातला खूप मोठा प्रश्न आहे, तर तिथे तुम्ही क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च करू शकता. कारण त्याचा डेटा तुम्हाला काही नंबर मध्ये मिळत नाही, तुम्हाला ते जायला लागतं. समजा जव्हार मोखाडा इथे शिक्षणाची काय स्थिती आहे, तिथे जाऊन तुम्ही विचारणार, हरीश जाऊन तिथे विचारेल की हा मग तुम्हाला शिक्षण कळतं का, हो किंवा नाही. अशा प्रश्नांमध्ये येणाऱ्या उत्तरांना संशोधन होणार नाही. तिथे तुम्हाला महिनाभर राहणे, त्या लोकांबरोबर काम करणे आणि मग तिथे अंदाज घेणे की शिक्षणाची परिस्थिती काय आहे, त्यांचे काय प्रॉब्लेम्स आहेत, कुठे त्यांना प्राथमिक शिक्षण करायला पाहिजे. सगळ्यात महत्वाचा आजचा जर खरंच तुम्हाला अभ्यास करायचा असेल, जे काही नव संशोधक असतील, तर अर्ली चाइल्ड केअर एज्युकेशन, बाल शिक्षणावर भरपूर काम करण्याची संधी आहे. कारण बाल शिक्षण जर सुरक्षित झालं भारतामधलं, तर भारतामध्ये पुन्हा पोलीस स्टेशन आणि जेल बांधायची गरज पडणार नाही. त्यामुळे बाल शिक्षणाचं सार्वत्रिकरण कसं करता येईल, बाल शिक्षणाच्या सार्वत्रिकरणाबरोबर बाल शिक्षणातलं अचिव्हमेंट आणि रिटेन्शन आणि एनरोलमेंट कशी वाढवता येईल किंवा कशी अचीव्ह करता येतील, यावरती काम चांगल्या पद्धतीने करू शकतात.
मला एक प्रश्न विचारायचा होता.
विचारा.
जाधव सर, आजच्या परिस्थितीमध्ये मातृभाषेतून शिक्षण देण्याकरिता प्रोसेस चालू आहे आणि काही गोष्टी अशा आहेत की यामध्ये अजून संशोधन झालेलं नाहीये. अनेक ठिकाणी संशोधनामध्ये हे पाहिलं जात आहे की वेगवेगळ्या भाषेतील अनुवादित साहित्य जे आहे त्या साहित्यामधून संशोधन होत आहे. आजही काही ठिकाणी वेगवेगळ्या भाषेतील
तुमचा प्रश्न काय?
साहित्य. प्रश्न असा आहे
प्रश्न
की संशोधन करत असताना जी समस्या जी घेतली जाते त्या समस्येची प्रश्नावली एकतर परफेक्ट झाली नाही तर डेटा अनालिसिस पूर्ण चुकतोय आणि निष्कर्षही चुकतायत. सर्वात महत्वाचं की सर्वेक्षण पद्धतीने आपण प्रश्नावली तयार करतो, सर्वेक्षण पद्धतीकरिता जे शैक्षणिक साधन बनवतो प्रश्नावली, किंवा प्रायोगिक पद्धतीने पूर्व चाचणी उत्तर चाचणी आपण बनवतो. हे बनवत असताना परफेक्ट कशा पद्धतीने प्रश्नावली तयार करून किंवा उत्तर चाचणी किंवा पूर्व चाचणी किंवा उत्तर चाचणी कशा पद्धतीने करायची, कशा पद्धतीने डाटा अनालिसिस होणं अपेक्षित आहे, हे एकदा तुम्ही मराठीमध्ये सर्वांना सांगा.
आत्ताचं आपलं जे सेशन आहे ह्या क्वालिटेटिव्ह रिसर्च वरती आहे. तुमचा जो प्रश्न आहे हा क्वांटिटेटिव्ह रिसर्चचा आहे की क्वांटिटेटिव्ह म्हणजे क्वेश्चन कशी तयार करायची, नंतरचे प्री टेस्ट आणि पोस्ट टेस्ट
टूल्स वर सेपरेट सेशन आहे,
त्याचं वेगळं सेशन आहे. बरोबर,
सेपरेट सेशन आहे टूल्स वर, त्याच्यात ते होईल.
क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा अनालिसिस किंवा क्वालिटेटिव्ह डेटा कलेक्शन वर काही क्वेश्चन असतील तर विचारा, नाहीतर थांबूयात. दिस इज माय कॉन्टॅक्ट नंबर. कोणाला प्रश्न विचारायचे असेल तर विचारू शकता याच्यावरती. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
काळे सर, त्यांना फीडबॅक फॉर्म भरा म्हणून सूचना द्या सगळ्यांना.
एक मिनिट मॅडम, आपलं सेशन संपल्यानंतर आपण व्हॉट्सअप ग्रुपला फीडबॅक लिंक टाकणार आहोत आणि ती सेशन वाईज असणार आहे
आणि प्रत्येकाने कंपल्सरी भरणार,
प्रत्येकाने ती कंपल्सरी भरायची आहे.
धन्यवाद जादव सर, आपने अपना कीमती समय निकाल के इस कार्यक्रम में आए, आपका सहयोग मिला इसके लिए आपका बहुत बहुत आभार. जैसे मैम ने अभी बताया आपको कि अभी फीडबैक फॉर्म आपको 5-10 मिनट में आ जाएगा और अभी डाला भी शायद मैम ने, तो आप सब लोग उसको जल्दी से जल्दी भरे और कल के भी जिन्होंने फीडबैक फॉर्म भरे नहीं होंगे तो वो वापस आप वो भर दे. कल 10 बजे कल का दिन का सत्र शुरू होगा तो 10-15 मिनट पहले आपको लिंक भेजी जाएगी। आज के सत्र में सभी उपस्थित भागियों को मैं वापस नमस्कार और धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा। मैडम आपकी अनुमति होगी तो आज के इस सेशन को हम यही समाप्त करेंगे और कल वापस सुबह 10 बजे हम जूम लिंक पे मिलेंगे।
चालेल चालेल.
मी लिव्ह करू का? हरीश?
हो लिंक करा.